The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm going to go ahead and put them in the top right-hand corner of the screen so you know where to go if you were in the market for a new or used vehicle. Bang! Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. Got a fun one today. We're going to recap the volleyball from last night. Of course, we're going to talk about every single playoff football matchup tonight. There's 13 of them on the network. Round 2, here we go. We're also going to briefly, just preview those soccer matchups that are happening on Saturday in the regional finals. Want to wish both those teams the best of luck because we have the very real possibility of having two teams in the state semifinals after tomorrow is all said and done. And to help preview that, we have a player profile with Champions defensive specialist and senior Mia Nadowd. So we're going to play that after our football preview, and we're going to have some fun today on Running Point, the first Friday of November. I mean, I think we can officially say fall weather is here, although still a couple of days warmer than average in the forecast. So that El Nino is still treating us pretty well. We were promised a late winter, and it's looking like we might have that late winter. Who knows? We're hoping that this kind of warmish fall weather stays here, and we don't have any highs of 30 or 32 for a couple of weeks at least. So with that being said, quickly, what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about the volleyball that happened last night. We'll open with McDonald, who went down to Strongsville and fell to Canton Central Catholic 3-1, the final score there. And you watch this match. I was able to see some clips of it with our friends over at 21 WFMJ. And McDonald really came out, won the first set in one that was really back and forth. It seemed like Gianna Constantino was having a really good time getting to that pin and getting between the blocks. And then I'm not sure exactly what happened because the next 3 sets were all Canton Central Catholic. I don't know if it was I haven't been given the stats yet, so I don't know if it was McDonald errors or if it was Canton Central Catholic waking up and just deciding to put their foot down a little bit. But after winning the first set, McDonald won 25-19. The next 3 were kind of all Canton Central Catholic as they were able to take away that one and go into the regional finals. But congratulations to McDonald on a heck of a run. Program's first ever district championship. They're going to be going into their 6th season of existing as a volleyball program next year, and they're going to be the reigning district champions. They have a couple of more goals in front of them, of course. I know they want to be MVAC champions. They want to raise that league banner, and they want to get even further next year. They're losing a couple of pieces, not going to lie, but they still have a bunch of young talent coming back as well. So McDonald, future looks bright. We want to congratulate you on your district championship and your very good fight in the regional semifinals, taking a set away from Canton Central Catholic in Strongsville. Then we go into the game that was on the network last night, the one that I was at, and I was able to watch. Crestview gets to sweep over Smithville. First two sets, pretty dang dominant. Third set, Smithville put up a heck of a fight, but Crestview able to bounce out of it and get the sweep 3-0. 25-15, 25-14, 26-24 were the final scores of the sets. Going to talk about some of the things I saw that I thought were just devastating for Crestview and devastating for Smithville by Crestview, I should say. One is the serving of Crestview was just so electric, so aggressive. They were getting Smithville out of system a ton. And Smithville's best offensive weapon is their middle hitter, Naomi Keeb. And the whole thing about volleyball, if you don't know, if you're not a fan of the sport, or if you don't know the sport, I should say, if your best offense is your middle blocker, you better either be able to move her around a little bit like Crestview does with Abby Emshu. If they're out of system, they can move her to the right side, or they can get her, they can shift her to the right or the outside, or even set her in the back row. Find ways to get her involved, or you're in some deep water, because if you're not in system, you can't set the middle block. It's really hard to set the middle block out of system. It doesn't work. When you have one option to go to, you're usually going to the outsides. That's just the reality, or the back row if you're out of system. Those are really the two high percentage sets that you can bet if you get a team out of system. That's probably where they're going. And they just could not get her the ball enough. And then I really felt like the blocking of Crestview was very good. Abby M finishes with 5. And because of that, I saw, later on in the match, later stages of set 2 and a couple of times in set 3, it seemed like it was really frustrating Keeb, who came into that night with over 400 kills, a really good middle blocker for the Smithies. She was trying to cut shot. She was missing the line, wasn't really getting the ball in play because she was trying to avoid the block. And when your block can do that, blocking goes way past the stats, right? One, if you're getting your hands on the ball and giving your defense time in the back row, that's not going to get you a statistical block, but that's what you're supposed to do. And then if you're also just affecting the other team's swing and being a presence that they have to account for, they're not able to just rock it back and do their normal arm swing. That can affect you too, because that can also affect accuracy. And I think that really affected Smithville's accuracy. The fact that Abby Emsch and the blockers of Crestview were able to do such a good job of getting in the face and getting into the swings of Smithville. But in that third set, I'll give Smithville a lot of credit. They have a senior-led team. They said, we're not going to lose right now. We're going to fight to the end. And those seniors, especially, I was trying not to forget her name, but the one senior outside, I apologize to Smithville. Her name kind of escapes me because of all the hoopla from last night. But she had no kills going into the third set. She had 5 in the third. So she was one of those girls that just stepped up, gave them a little bit more balance, made Crestview's defense a little bit more unsteady. And that's why Smithville put up such a fight in the third set, because they had a couple of more offensive weapons to go to outside of Keeb, who they were pretty much setting exclusively in the first 2 sets. In fact, Keeb had 7 kills in the first set, and Smithville had 8 kills total. So they were really leaning on them, on her, I should say, to get them their offense, and that's just not how you beat a Crestview team. It seemed like Crestview was the team that had been there 5 times in a row, and Smithville was the team that really shouldn't have looked as unexperienced as they did, because that program has been to regionals plenty of times too. But they looked scared. They looked a little bit nervous, a little bit timid, even from the jump. They looked like the team that wasn't ready to be on that stage. And I think in the third set, you saw the Smithville that you see all the time, in that they put up the big fight and pushed Crestview to extra points and fell 26-24. But that's the Smithville that's always on the floor. The problem is in regional, sometimes it gets you. It got to Crestview last year, where we saw 2 sets where they didn't look like themselves. Third set, they put up a fight. This is the Crestview LLC. This year it was Smithville that had that bugaboo happen, where they just could not be themselves until the third set, when they was do or die. So congratulations to Crestview. A really, really awesome match. They played really good defense too. They had 5 players with double-digit digs. Emily Downey as a libero played a heck of a match. Best match I've seen her play. I haven't been at every Crestview match, so I'm not going to sit here and say that was the best match of her season. But the best match I've seen her play, for sure. Just the ability to get a lot of balls, and her serving was really good too. 3 aces, including the match clinching ace. Is one of the reasons why we gave her player of the game at the end of the broadcast, because she was playing a very high level. They're going to need that against Mineral Lake Catholic. They're going to need really, really good defense. They're going to have Natalie Blakeman play as well as she did last night. They're going to have Julia Blasco, who got 16 digs in the back row. They're going to have her play just as well as she did. Emily Downey had 13 digs. They need her to do everything she's supposed to do back there. They can't just be a Grace Hour, Laney Hour, Abby M show, and they can't be the only people that are putting their names in the stat column. They have to have every player get their piece of that stat column. Even Katie Lissy had a handful of kills, and one of the swings that she had, I think, was the hardest I've seen her swing the ball all season long. So this Crestview team, finding balance, finding everyone playing really, really well at the right time. But really quick, before we get to the football preview, I just want to preview the Saturday game while we're talking about volleyball, because I did stay and watch 2 sets of that Mineral Lake Catholic and Independence game. And I've been talking about them all year. I've been saying, like, hey, Mineral Lake Catholic, they're the team to beat in the district. They're the 1 seed in the district in Crestview's district. The 1 seed in the regional. They're the number 1 team in the state. They're nationally ranked. This is all for a reason. And I got to see it live last night. They're basically like a small college team. They play really good defense. They're running plays. They're running slides. They're running, bluffs. They have the middle blocker run at the net and make a blocker have to respect it, and the set goes to the outside. They're just running high level stuff. So when you're looking at ways to beat Mineral Lake Catholic, I think there were flashes of it, Independence in the first set and the third set, where they showed, okay, this is kind of the game plan of how you beat them. One of the ways you do it is you got to get hands on the block. You got to be able to take pressure off your back row. And there were times when Independence did that pretty well. You got to be able to have back row players that can move because their hitters will go anywhere. So you have to really have back row players that know how to read the body, know how to read where the hitter's going to go, because they're not going to be predictable. They're not going to be one of those teams that has outsides that just hit cross courts 90% of the time, and you can have your back row camp in the corner and just say, hey, patrol this zone, because 9 times out of 10 this girl's going there. That's not going to happen. So they're going to have back row players that really know how to move, really know how to read the hitter. That's going to be important. And then I think the one hole in their defense that I saw a lot, that I think Crestview's going to have to try to attack, is the back row middle. So we saw Independence hit that spot a couple of times. It's a hard spot to hit because you're flirting with hitting the line. You have to toe that line between hitting it out and finding that line. But every time Independence went there, they caught Mineral Lake Catholic a little bit too far up in the back row. They definitely like to play, not the back line. So I think if Crestview can find some kills on that back line, which is easier said than done because you have to be super accurate to do it, then you might want to do that. I would actually say, like, if we attack that back line and we have a couple of errors here and there, not getting crazy, but we prove that we're able to go back there, then that would be good, because that means that they can't get comfortable in where they want to play defense. So this one of my quick game plans. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know as much about volleyball as Coach Auer, and I know her and her staff were watching that game very intently, and you get a lot more watching a team live than you do on video. I think that's going to be a big difference from last year to this year. Last year, all they got to see was the highlights of Mineral Lake Catholic, right? And them on video. And on video, Mineral Lake Catholic looks ridiculously good. But then you watch them on in person, and you're able to a little bit more pick out a little bit of holes. Every team has holes in the defense. You have 6 players. You can't cover every spot of the floor. So you really get to see a little bit more in depth, and you really get to see a lot more tendencies when you see them in person. So I think being able to do that this year, being able to watch 2 sets of Mineral Lake Catholic might give Crestview a little bit of advantage. It's still going to be a tall mountain to climb. Mineral Lake Catholic is definitely one of the best teams in the state across any division. I think they're the best team I've seen all year. So it's gonna be a tall mountain to climb. but I'm seeing little chinks in the armor. I'm seeing little things Rescue can do. They have to play as good defense as they did last night, that's for sure. They have to be able to spread the ball around on offense. They got to get, 3 to 6 kills from Katie Lissy. They got to get 3 to 6 kills from Julia Blasco. Just those little hits every now and then that tell you that we're not going to sit Grace Hour consistently. Like, it's not going to be shut down this girl and you can stop us. We have to be able to, show Mineral Lake Catholic every now and then that you're able to go to other spots, and they have to really account for other people at least. I know they're going to key in on Abby Amsterdam and key in on Grace Hour, but if you can prove every now and then that, hey, there are these other girls that are going to swing, and if you put all your attention on them, then we will set these other people, and that's something that Crestview is going to have to do. You have to have a balanced offense to beat a team like this. So they're going to have a really good day. They're going to have to play well, but when I'm seeing what Crestview put on the floor last night, and I'm seeing what Mineral Lake Catholic did last night, I think it's going to be a very good volleyball game. I think they're pretty well matched, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes 4 or 5 sets. I can't wait. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, that game will be on ysnlive.com from Barberton. I will be on the call thanks to another generous sponsorship out of the Crestview community. So can't wait for that, and we'll see you tomorrow in Barberton. Let's go into the football preview, where the reason we all watch on Friday, of course, Friday Night Lights. It's winding down round 2 of the playoffs. We have gone from 25 games last week to 13 as our YSN teams continue to fight for their chance to get into Canton and a state championship game. Fitch, we'll start with them. They're going to go on the road to Walsh Jesuit. And Walsh Jesuit, a very good football team. Fitch, the 10 seed, went on the road last week, got the win over 7 seed John Hay, and now they'll go to 2 seeded Walsh Jesuit tonight. When you look at Walsh, there's a lot of things they do well, but I think in the trenches is where they make their most mark. They're a big team. They're a physical team. They're definitely not one-dimensional on offense. And Fitch is going to have to do a lot of things right to win this game. But I think it's a football cliche, I know, but when you're playing an offensive line that is so good, you got to be able to penetrate. You got to be able to put some pressure on their run game, some tackle for losses, put pressure on their quarterback. Fitch's defensive line is going to be what's going to win this game for them. I think their offense can score on Walsh for sure. They're not going to put up anything wild. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to score 45, but I think Fitch's offense is athletic enough and good enough to go and score a couple of touchdowns here and there against Walsh, but their defense is going to have to help them because they're not going to want to get into a track meet with this Walsh Jesuit team. So I'm looking for Fitch to if they're going to win this game, they're probably going to have to do it in the 20s, 28-24, 28-21, somewhere around there. They have to stay away from turnovers. I know that's been a little bit of a bugaboo for them at times this season. And some of those turnovers have just quite frankly come from protection issues from the offensive line. So they got to make sure that they're protecting their quarterback and that they're not putting him in bad situations where he has to make a quick decision, because that's where a lot of his interceptions have come from. Those and taking those shot plays where they like to, and those jump balls, those are interceptions that I don't put a lot of damage on the quarterback for that. Those are 50-50 balls. You're throwing them because there's a 50% chance that they're going to get picked, and it's kind of one of those you have to do them things. Archbishop Hoban, they're going to play Barberton. Believe it or not, the team, the school that we're going to go to tomorrow for the regional finals in volleyball. Barberton Magics in the house, and Archbishop Hoban has looked so good. First round of the playoffs, they roll, and they're home again this week, and I think a lot of people expecting them to roll again over Barberton. One of the things that Archbishop Hoban did a really good job of last week that I want to see continue through this playoff run is get off to those quick starts. We saw them in the regular season. Even the games that they won handily, some of their first halves were kind of slow. They took a while to get going. And as you go further and further in the playoffs, maybe not tonight, but further and further, you're going to have to get off to quick starts. You're going to have to be the team that sets the tone early, because you're the further you go, the more you can't afford to find yourselves in close games, for a long period of time without having to really sweat it out. So Hoban's going to have to continue to do that. They did a really good job of getting off to a quick start last week, and they're going to have to do that again this week against a Barberton Magic team, obviously coming off a win. That's what I like about the second round of the playoffs is even these lower seeds, these 8 seeds, these 10 seeds, you're seeing teams that are coming off a playoff win. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of momentum. So I think you see a little bit less mismatches or blowouts in this round, not just because the talent gap is closed a little bit, but also because you got teams coming off a big playoff win. You got teams coming off with energy, That's why sometimes in those March Madness round of, first round games where you see like 11 seeds play each other and, the 11 seed wins and they get the chance to play the 6 seed. Sometimes that 11 seed actually has a little bit of an advantage because they got to win. Like they have that momentum heading into the first round against that 6 seed. And that 6 seed had been sitting around for a little bit. So getting that win, especially the upsets like Fitch, the 10 seed over the 7 seed, those can bring a lot of momentum in this game. And momentum can shrink a talent gap a little bit. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Hoban to continue their run. The game that everyone's going to have their eyes on tonight is the Ysn matchup. It's Canfield versus Ursuline. The Irish are fired up, right? I've already seen it all over Twitter. This is their revenge game, right? Canfield beat them out of the playoffs last year. This is the game Ursuline has had circled all season. They didn't know when it was going to happen, but I think they had a good idea that they're going to meet Canfield at some point in the playoffs, and it's going to be one where they were going to have to go through Canfield to get a state championship. I think everybody knew that going into this season. So Ursuline has fired up about it, but this Canfield team, a lot different than the team that started the season 1-3. They are playing so much better. They have established the run game really, really well. They have, controlled the line of scrimmage. They have run the ball, like I said, run the ball well with Inglis and Eaton. That sets up their passing game. They just been a much better cohesive offense. I think it took them a little bit to find some identity and find what they were good at in this new look offense. Obviously, this Canfield team does not look like what they did last year. They're a different style. There are different things that let them succeed. And once they figured that out, and they kind of got that groove into that, then they've been playing like a really well-oiled football machine. So I think Canfield, they're playing hot. They're on a big winning streak. You can't look over the Cardinals, but you know that the Irish are really fired up for this game. So there's not going to be that typical maybe second round where you're sleeping because this team is really lower seeded than me. Like this is a Canfield team that might be in a second round matchup with a juggernaut, but they're not going to overlook them because this is the Canfield team that beat them last year. So there's no overlooking Canfield. They're not going to sneak into this one. If they're going to beat the Irish, they're going to beat the Irish at their best. I promise you that. Which I think Canfield would rather have, right? Wouldn't you rather beat a team when they're playing really, really good than win when the team kind of hands it to you? I know I would as a competitor. We go into one that I think is going to be pretty interesting, Streetsboro and West Branch. You look at these offenses, Streetsboro can score like crazy. And this West Branch defense did struggle at times against Woodridge last week. It was 20-20 in the fourth quarter. 2 late touchdowns kind of let West Branch breathe a little bit, but Woodridge was able to find some holes in this defense and score in big situations. So you got to wonder this Streetsboro team that on paper has a much better offense than Woodridge. They come into this game. What do they see on film? What kind of things can they do to this West Branch defense? I think West Branch's offense will be fine. Streetsboro is like your typical Big 12 team where they win with scoring. They don't necessarily win with defense. They win with outscoring the other people. So I think West Branch's offense not going to have trouble, but can their defense make those couple key stops and let their offense go and get some breathing room? That's going to be the key to this game. When not just do you get stops, but when do you get stops? Can you get stops after you score? Can you get stops in the red zone? Can you get those turnovers? Those things like that. Sometimes it's the quality of the stops you get, not the quantity of the stops you get as a defense. We learned that a lot in the higher levels of football. You're going to give up your yards, and a lot of people get so bent out of shape because a team is giving up, 250 yards per game or whatever. But then you look at their points and like, yeah, but they're really not giving up a lot of points. They're really stopping teams when it matters. And I always like a defense that's bend but don't break. And I think West Branch is going to have to be that. Some red zone stops would go really big for them tonight. They're going to give up their yards. The Streetsboro team is a very good offense. Give up your yards, be a bend but don't break a defense, and get out there and give your offense a chance to make it a runaway. That's what this defense has to do. I'm sure they've been looking at their film all week, saying what kind of things did Woodridge do to us? Because West Branch is a team and they're a coaching staff that focuses way more on what they do than what the team does. So they're gonna probably spend a lot more time. They probably spend a lot more time this week looking at their own defensive mistakes last week than they did looking at what Streetsboro is going to be doing. So I expect West Branch to have a couple of those tighten, but at the same time, like I said, the Streetsboro is a really good offense, so you're not going to hold them down. I expect this to be a high-scoring game, but I think West Branch will make those couple of defensive stops when they need to make them and get some separation. I think I wouldn't be shocked if it's a 10 or a 14-point win somewhere around there for the Warriors. Niles off their big win last week where they ran wild and they were looked unstoppable. They will go on the road this week to Mineral Lake Catholic. And if the Dragons keep playing like they did last week, good luck to Mineral Lake Catholic. Antoine Gardner is one of the best running backs that we have in the Ysn family. When he's going right, he's unstoppable. That's just the reality of it. This offense is really, really good. Their run game is really good. Budak does not get enough credit. Their quarterback. And the improvements he has made from last year, the improvements this team has made from last year. You look at Niles last year, just a 2-win team. Here they are with 7 wins in the second round berth into the playoffs. That's just really, really good coaching. It's really good program development. And a lot of the same players are back. Now, I know it like, hey, Antoine Gardner got hurt last year, didn't play all their games. I get it. But you don't have one player. I'm sorry. Like, as much as we love Antoine Gardner, you don't have one player come back and all of a sudden you go from 2-8 to 7-4 in the playoffs still in the round 2. You have more stuff that happens. And I think these players have bought in a little bit more. They're a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more focused. And I think that's a lot to do with coaching. I think Coach Perry has done a really good job with this Niles team this year. And they're on the road, I know. And Mineral Lake Catholic is not going to be an easy team to beat. But the Dragons, their losses this year, I don't want to say they're flukes, but they haven't looked like the team that we know that they can look like. They looked like that team last week. So if they, keep that up and stay consistent, then they're going to be just fine, I think, on the road against Mineral Lake Catholic. We go on to the next game, Struthers versus Poland. These two teams met just 2 weeks ago in Poland, and we all know that it went into overtime, 28-27. Poland got the win. And the interesting thing about these kind of matchups, when they're rematches of really close games, they go one of two ways, right? They're either close again, or one team makes a couple of adjustments and it gets a runaway. Very rarely do you see these games end up in that middle ground where they're close-ish, but they're not runaways, maybe like 10, 7, 10, 14 points. They're either like, hey, one team just put their foot down and said, we're not having a close game anymore, or it's very, very close again because these two teams are so evenly matched. And I don't know which way this one will go, because you look at that first game, they both played a little bit of sloppy football. There were both teams had a couple of turnovers that could have made that game in hand in regulation a win for both sides, right? So you look at that and you say, well, what if one team stops that and the other doesn't? Then you could really see this team turning in a runaway. But then you also say, well, yeah, but both teams forced those turnovers. Both teams were playing really, really well. Both teams looked evenly matched. So, I don't want to play the fence here. I don't want to be wishy-washy and say, well, it could happen both ways. But I really think that I can't really decide whether this game is going to be one of those ones that turns into a runaway because one team makes an adjustment, or if it's going to be a close game again. I could see it going both of those avenues because, like I said, neither team played a great, clean football game the first time around. So if one of them and only one of them makes those adjustments and doesn't turn the ball over and does the right thing, then they could run away with it. If they both make those adjustments, then it could be close, but maybe a closer, clean game. Or it could be one of those things where the defenses force those turnovers again, and you see another bonkers game go into overtime. You just never know how this one will go. I think that's what makes this game so interesting, because you literally do not know how it will go. I have no idea. This is hard to predict on which way this game will kind of skew, because I could see it, blowout. I could see it close. I could see it kind of sloppy and chaotic too. The one thing is for sure, though, if this comes down to the same situation, I am very interested if Coach Begg will do the exact same thing. If he will put his foot in the ground and say, it was the right decision. I'm not going to let the fact that it didn't work last time beat me, because I am a firm believer in the phrase that if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it's a bad decision. And I think in that situation, 28-27, you had the false start. That makes it a little bit less easy. That makes it a little bit more murky to go for two when you have to back up to the sixth. But I was keep watching the actual play, and I'm like, man, that's a well-drawn play. It's a design play. They booted out the quarterback to the left. They had, a momentarily someone. It was just well defended, right? I like the play call. I like the decision to just say, hey, we're on the road. Let's not keep this going. Let's win it now. And it just didn't work. And I don't think that makes it a bad decision. And if it comes down to it again, I hope Coach Bayek, if it's the right play call and it's the right, you feel it, I hope he makes that same decision. I hope he doesn't let the fact that the last time didn't work sway him into thinking that it was the wrong call, because it wasn't the wrong call. It was just well defended by Poland. That's just sports right there, right? Sometimes you can make the right call, but there's a team in front of you that has a job to do too, and they do their job. That's just reality of all sports. So I know a lot of people question him up the wazoo about that call, and some people probably thought it was not the right one. Why would you go for two? You had a false start. You backed up. You were at the six. Just kick the field goal. Go to the second overtime. But I think he saw, like, okay, we're on the road. Let's not extend this any further. Everyone's gassed. Let's try to take advantage of the tiredness of the defense. Had a good play call. Poland stepped up. That's it. That's the end of the story. So I'm sure Coach Bake wants it to not come down to that again. I'm sure he wants to play a game where he can breathe a little bit easier. But if it does, I'm very interested to see what his thought process will be in that situation. That'd be crazy if it comes down to like the exact same thing, overtime, 2-point conversion. That'd be nuts. Garrettsville Garfield on the road, I think a little underseeded, but it's the points, so you can't really argue with computer points. But I think Harrison Central is sitting there like, we're the 4 seed. We have to play Garrettsville Garfield in the second round of the playoffs. What in the world? Garfield's a very good football team. They have state championship wrestlers, Keegan Sell, on the team, who has raised that bar and raised that standard and taught everyone what it means to be a champion. Love listening to him. We've had the chance to interview him several times on YSN, both during wrestling season and now. Obviously, Chris Colucci got him during the football season. And they're physical, they're tough. And they also have this under the radar, chip on their shoulder mentality that I love out of Garrettsville Garfield. They're like, we're undefeated and we're sitting at a 5 seed. Like, let's go and prove everyone that we're better than this. I like that. They're carrying that on the road. The one thing I want to see out of Garfield that I brought it up last week, and it's the same thing with Archbishop Hoban. Even in the games that Garfield has run away from this year, last like 5 weeks, they've got off to not great starts. Newton Falls had a 14-7 lead on them. Crestview tied the game right after they scored 7-7. And then they ran away with those games, of course. But same point as I made during the Hoban talk. Eventually in the playoffs, you're going to have to come up with consistent games that have the fast start, good finish. Because if you let teams in the playoffs stick around or jump on you early, the one thing about this Garfield offense that they haven't had to do yet is they're not really built to come back from double-digit, deficits. They're not built to come back from, down 21 or down 14-17, especially late. So that is why they really can't afford slow starts as they keep going. So hopefully for Garfield, they can set the tone early in this game. And if they do, if you let Garfield set the tone, you're toast. You're toast, because they will control this game. They will control the tempo of it if you let them grab it and run with it. So, Garfield on the road, Harrison Central, a great facility. Props to Harrison Central for the press box that they're putting up. We've seen digs of them, and I think some of our announcers were like, I'll go to Harrison Central. And, of course, it got Dom O'Brien and Chris Sigler are the ones that got that lottery ticket. They'll be heading down to the beautiful facilities at Harrison Central. Let's see. We're going to take a break, and then on the other end of the break, we'll talk about the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that we have left on the schedule to talk about. So we'll be right back on Running Point. Don't know how Dickie got up there. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit.
Sheely's is more than a furniture store. We're a hub for all of your appliance needs. We offer the widest selection at everyday low prices, with over $1 million of in-stock inventory from Whirlpool, KitchenAid, LG, GE, and more. Our knowledgeable, no-pressure sales staff can help you find the perfect appliances for your home. We're there for you beyond your purchase to service what we sell and offer free local delivery with 24-month special financing. Sheely's, the best things in life happen at home.
House troubles can attack anytime. When trouble strikes, call Mighty Mike. Your hometown hero is on his way. HVAC causing havoc? Has your furnace gone mad? Mighty Mike Heating and Cooling will save the day. Commercial or residential, 24/7. For quality service you can depend on, call your hometown hero. Call Mighty Mike.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
Shopping for a vehicle online should be easy and worry-free. Introducing Merge from Greenwood Chevrolet, a completely new way to buy a car that combines the convenience of shopping online with the personal touch and expertise that Greenwood is known for. With Merge, shopping is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Choose a vehicle from our pre-owned inventory, build a deal that fits your needs, and finalize the deal with our online buying team. That's car buying in a new lane. Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and let us go the extra mile for you.
You heard it. Go visit greenwoodchevrolet.com. They go the extra mile for you. We do the same here on Running Point every single day. Let's continue this preview of football. We have South Range going and hosting Ridgewood. The Raiders this year, I've said it every week. It feels like every week they just look a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Last week in the first round of the playoffs, to start, Fairless looked like they were going to put up a fight, and then South Range, they put their foot down. Won rather handedly. I think they were up by 43-13 at some point. Ended up being 43-20. The Raiders, man, they just do a lot of things really, really well. I mean, it's hard to kind of make a game plan against a team that executes so many things at a high level, but that's what South Range does. And they're going to carry that into Ridgewood, and they will have their second round matchup. United will go into Cuyahoga Heights, not go into, but go into a matchup with them if they're hosting Cuyahoga Heights. United with a big opportunity to get another big playoff win and get themselves in the regional semifinals. I really think they match up very well with this Cuyahoga Heights team. This might be one of the games in round 2 that turns into a blowout situation. We go to Mineral Ridge, going to Rootstown. This is going to be a big test, but Mineral Ridge on the road last week got the big win, emphatic win, just absolute blowout. No chance about it to stop the Rams. They are carrying arguably the most momentum out of any of our teams going on the road this week, with their just not just upset over our team, but just absolute domination of Jackson Milton. So I think Middle Ridge is a team that is very dangerous right now. When you play like that in the first round of the playoffs and you're peaking at the right time, the Rams can keep rambling. They'll have to do it on the road against Rootstown. Pymatuning Valley has a tough task with a premium playoff powerhouse. I didn't mean for that to be so redundant. I should say alliterative. Mogador goes into this game. They have tradition. They have tradition of winning playoff games. But I think one of the advantages that Pymatuning Valley will have is they're kind of the same style. They're both big. They're both physical. They both like to run the ball a lot. And it seemed like maybe, I don't know what the health status of Mogador's quarterback is, but he did kind of come slow off the field and then never return in their game against LeBray. So you never know if he's 100% or not. That'll be a big thing to watch for this game. If Mogador's quarterback is in fact 100%. You got Springfield. They're going on the road to Danville. Danville made quick work of McDonald last week, and they are a very good football team. But Springfield, kind of like Mogador, that's that traditional knows how to win the playoff football team, and you can never count them out because of it. The big rematch, I think, between Lowville and Western Reserve, a very good game. The first time these two teams met, it's going to be coming down the quarterbacks. Michael Balone against Luke Henning. They're both very good, and they're both playing really well this season, especially right now. So I think it's simply who plays better quarterback tonight. And then we have, last but not least, Burl against Mohawk over there in Pennsylvania. So 13 games on the network tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find them. And it's going to be a fun time. One payment of $9.99. And I want to remind everybody, if you see anything else, if you see any other payment, if you see a subscription, if it's something other than $9.99, it is not us. Don't fall for it. We can't control the pop-ups that come on our screen. So please do not fall for the subscription or the other payment plans that you might have people trying to get to you. No links, nothing like that. If it's not $9.99, it's not us, and we only make you pay for one payment. So one payment of $9.99 gets you access to all 13 games on the network tonight. Please be very careful and aware, because there are unfortunately people that will take your money if you let them. We're going to get to our interview as we promised. Me and Dowd and Champion Girls Soccer are getting ready for a regional final on Saturday against Akron Manchester. Both teams undefeated, so someone's going to have their first loss. Someone's going to go to state. Me and CJ Bako got the interview with the senior Mia Dowd from Champion. Here's that player profile. Here with a Champion Girls Soccer player profile, we're joined by Mia Dowd. Down there at the bottom, me and CJ Bako on this interview with you guys. And Mia, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, all right, I'm going to start off by first saying you guys are having a great season, obviously. I mean, 21-0, I believe. I've covered a lot of your guys' soccer matches. I'll just start out with a basic question. How do you guys find yourself still undefeated at this point?
I think it's definitely, it's really, I wouldn't say surprising, but it's such a good feeling to have. And I think the main reason that we've been able to make it this far is our coaches and our team and everyone just staying together and through everything.
When you look at the goals completed for this season, I know the conference was number one. You guys wanted to win that conference. You did that. You beat the big dogs in that conference over the years with Springfield and Waterloo. And then you wanted to win a district because you hadn't done that before as a team. So what was it like to see both those goals be accomplished this year?
It was crazy. It was such a special feeling to be able to be there with my sister and with all of my closest friends and complete something that we've all been wanting to complete since rec season.
All right, and you mentioned your sister there. Is it has it been a special season that you guys finally get to play with each other?
Yeah, so it's been very, very nice, and especially my freshman year when my sister was a senior, it was such a memorable experience and stuff. And now that I'm playing with my younger sister as a senior, it's just like everything happening again, and it's such awesome.
You guys knew for a while that it was going to line up this way, where you were going to be a senior, she was going to be a freshman. What was it like getting ready for this year and just trying to anticipate what it was going to be like having her as a teammate? And how did it line up as for expectations? Like, how did the reality of having Maylee with you all season compare to what you thought it'd be maybe in the summer and the preseason?
So it was a big reality check for me, like, because my sister, she's such a good player, and I knew that I had to step up and be that older sister for her and that role model. So it really changed my point of view.
All right, and I would like to bring up. So I had the chance to broadcast the game versus Norway yesterday. First off, great game. Um, I wanted to say that obviously, I mean, you bring out you had to go up against Shelby Vaughn, who was committed to Michigan State for that pretty much the entire game, and you held her with one goal, and they got it like very late in the game. Why was your defense so dominant in that game yesterday?
I think that our model the entire season has been just stay tight and just work through everything. We get scored on just to keep playing as a team and keep our heads up and just give our best no matter what.
There's obviously something special about this champion team. The way they've been playing 21-0, we said at the top. There's something in the juju, in the juice. What do you think it is about this team, about this roster, about this collection of girls that has been so special and so able to have so much success?
I would say that it's probably just how well we work together as a team and how we can bond through everything.
All right, and you mentioned the fact that even if you guys get scored on, you guys got to keep playing. So, first half, obviously, I believe it was in the 38th minute. You have that one-on-one that Taylor hits, unfortunately, right at the keeper, and then it feels like Norwayne was getting a little bit of momentum, and then you guys finally get a goal. I believe your sister assisted on the pass to Taylor. Um, how do you guys just find your way to bounce back, and even after kind of just like a moment like, oh, we should have had this? How do you guys just keep your focus and keep playing?
I think the coaches help us a lot to just keep our heads up at all times, even if we are winning, just to stay in the game and keep our intensity high and just play how we always do.
Gave us a perfect segue into my next question, which is about your coaching staff and what they've meant to you and what they have taught you and what it's like being under them and what you've learned from your coaches at Champion.
I learned so much every day, and they're the best people to be around. They always make me happy, and they keep the team up and they keep them going, and they're just so like wise. They know like everything.
All right. And we talked a little bit about your coaching, but I mean, obviously the players, I mean, they have to obviously play, to be honest. But how, like, I know that you guys have a lot of seniors on your team. Is it like big, and do you think that's part of a reason why you guys have made it this far because of the senior leadership on your team?
I don't think so. I think that obviously that it's a bonus that we all get to play together this like last time. And but the underclassmen, they really help us out a lot. And they're always there for us too.
When you look at the leadership of this team and the way you're able to help the younger players, there are a good number of younger players on the team as well, help them come up and grow. What has made you so proud about seeing the younger players on this team come up and play at the level that they're playing as a senior yourself?
I've been really able to watch them break out of their shells and become great players, and I can't wait to watch them next year and the years after that because I plan on coming back to watch them because I hope that they will be so successful moving forward.
So obviously, I mean, I feel like I ask all the siblings this when I do an interview with one of them. So obviously, you and Maylee are sisters, and Maylee's had a great season as a freshman. Do you think like you've kind of contributed that a little bit by going up against her, or how was it like growing up playing with Maylee?
Very, very competitive. I feel like it's always like I feel like sometimes we're at each other's necks, and a second later we're like best friends. Like no one could separate us, but it's good.
I mean, I love it because you guys are so different players. Like you're the back line of that defense, and she's one of the girls that's always getting into the scoring and running the offensive champion. So I'm sure you've had chances to try to defend her, whether it be in inter squad scrimmages or playing in the backyard. What's it like when you two go up against each other a little bit?
Actually, it's quite bad. Actually, I think we get pretty physical with each other, like especially at practices. Like we get yelled at all the time because we're like tackling each other during the practices and during the drills. It's so funny though.
That's definitely good to have. So we're gonna take a look forward. Obviously, I mean, you guys play Akron Manchester, who is also an undefeated team. 21 games, 17 of those games have been shutouts. How are you guys going into that game? How are you guys planning for that?
I don't think that we really need to change anything about how we're playing. I think we just need to just keep stepping up and having this confidence and just playing our game how we've been playing forever.
We said at the top, this is a new stage for this roster. Champions been to regionals before, but this roster, this team, this group of people hadn't been there. So now that you have the dip into that stage and you have a dip into what it takes to win in regionals, how much do you think that'll help you go into the regional finals, deal with the nerves and the things that come along with playing in that big atmosphere?
Honestly, I think that us setting like new records and making history at our school, that it's really just fueling the fire for the next games. Like it's crazy and it's just such an awesome feeling, and it really helps like us realize that like we can do this. We need to just not have any doubts. But
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about the atmosphere. So obviously, I have to look forward and back, but let's kind of live in the moment a little bit. So, can you describe what were you guys feeling, and how was it like after winning regional semis yesterday?
we were all so happy. I remember all of us, we ran together and we piled on the center of the field. It was such like an experience that I don't think I'll ever forget in my entire life, in just being with all of them.
What was the bigger celebration, the district championship celebration or winning a regional semifinal celebration?
I think the district champs was more hype, but the regional, it was pretty good. I feel like a lot of people had like a lot of feelings about it, but it was okay.
Just okay. But anyway, so I wanted to bring up. So obviously, you're a great player. Your sister's a great player. Who has been like probably the biggest like mentor, and who's like helped you guys like throughout your life?
I would say probably my parents and my coaches, and probably some of the alumni that have come back to help us and like cheer us on. But yeah.
Into that same lane, who's like your role model? If you had to pick one person that you know any day or night or whatever it means, like if you're having a bad day, you can go to this person and you can ask for advice. You can bank on them to be there for you. Who's that person for you in your life?
Honestly, she's younger than me, but I would go to her for anything, and that's probably going to be my sister. She's had my back through everything.
She's not sitting next to you making you say that, is she?
No.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, because obviously I didn't know, what are your plans for obviously like after the season's over?
After the season's over, I don't know if I'm going to be playing for like any winter league teams or anything yet, but probably just working and stuff.
What about plans after graduation for your broader future, things that you want to do after high school?
I mean, I have like general ideas of what I want to do, but as of right now, it's kind of undecided. I haven't really made up my mind yet.
Okay. And a big part of obviously a team, has to be a chemistry. I've asked this, I think, to everyone I've done an interview with. How do you guys do anything to like help build chemistry like outside of soccer, or like how do you guys like have that bond?
I think that we all really bond together. We always we go get food all the time. Like after games, we're like, oh, we're going to go to Taco Bell, or we're going to go to like Chipotle or something. Everyone's like, can I ride with you? Can I do this? And we're like, yeah, you can come with us. I feel like food is like a big connection between everybody on the team.
Gotta love the food. Gotta love the food. We obviously we realize you have a sister on the team, but who's a teammate outside of Maylee that you think you know her so well and you're such good friends with her that you could consider her a sister any day of the week?
I would probably say Savannah Lefkowitz. She's my number 2 spot for someone who's always had my back.
Okay, and I want to talk a little bit about kind of like a question we asked earlier. So when you guys do go got like offense, defense, like inter squad scrimmaging, who usually gets the best? Like offense usually win more, defense usually win more.
So I would say that sometimes like defense and offense, I feel like they have their off days, but I feel like equally, I feel like we're pretty good against each other. And I would say if I had to pick, I would probably pick offense.
One of the things I ask champion athletes whenever we're interviewing them, this champion athletic room is so successful. You have so many state championships in the school system at Champion, whether it be softball, girls basketball, always good doing the regionals, boys basketball usually puts together a good team, football, whatever it may be. It's so successful. What's it like being a part of this athletic community in Champion and now bringing soccer up to that level?
It's a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's really gonna leave a big hole in my heart when it's over.
What's your favorite Champion sport to go and watch and be a part of the student section for?
I would probably say basketball because it's really funny and it gets pretty loud.
Okay. Hold on, let me think here. So I just want to. So obviously, the first game you guys played in playoffs, you guys played Lakeview, and pretty much you had your way with them. What was the difference between? Obviously, Poland was a very close game. What was the difference between Lakeview and Poland? Like, was there a difference between the teams?
I think equally they're both extremely good teams. I think that maybe Poland, I feel like their size really, really helps them, and they have very, very good touches, I would say.
All right, so you didn't have to travel too much for the regional semifinal. Now you had a little bit of a bus trip to Talmadge. So my next question for you, when you have long bus trips and you're in the long, what's your favorite like bus activity? Do you guys collaborate in the bus? Do you all kind of sit in your seat and do your own thing? What's a long bus ride look like with Champion Soccer?
I would say probably all of us like standing up on our seats, dancing to music because it gets really, really crazy on our bus rides.
Not the safest thing to do during a bus ride, but we'll all accept it.
All right. So I wanted to ask. So you're a senior this year, clearly. What has been your like favorite game, or like is there any that like stuck out to you in your entire career?
I would probably say my favorite game was the most recent game against the last team we played.
Norway.
It's already gone.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah.
That's a dumb moment. Regional semifinals. Boop. One last thing I have to ask before we let you go. We have talked about your future, things you want to do in the future. But what about this Champion program makes you confident that when you graduate, they're still going to be very, very good and they're going to have a competitive program and you're leaving the program in really good hands?
I feel like from like the fans to like everyone that lives there is so supportive of every team that plays. It's crazy how much like backup everybody has.
All right. What's that?
CJ, you got one more or are you done?
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you said we're going to let you go after this, so that's why.
Yeah, it was, we use that term very loosely here on these interviews.
No, okay. Yeah, I was kind of confused. I was just staring at you. My bad. But, so, no, I wanted to ask, so obviously your most recent game in Norway, why did you say that that's your most favorite game to play?
I would say probably because the intensity was crazy. I had like adrenaline rushing the entire game. It was crazy. Like there was one point where I slid, I think, and then my leg was just bleeding. And I was just like, oh, that's going to be a cool scar.
Okay, we will definitely let you go after this, but I do want to give the athlete the chance, like we do in every interview, to thank their support system, the people that are in their life that have their back. I want to give you the time to give shout outs to anyone that you think really deserves them in your life and the people that you think need the limelight shined on them a little bit at the end of this interview.
I would probably say again, thank you to my coaches and my teammates, and my parents are probably the biggest people that are really in my heart every time.
All right, Mia, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We wish you the best of luck in the regional finals on Saturday. It will be broadcasted by that guy over there because it has been sponsored by your community. So CJ will be there and it'll be broadcasted on YSN. We can't wait. We wish you the best of luck, and we will talk to you again real soon. Mia Nadal from Champion as they get ready for their regional final tomorrow. That'll do it for today's episode. Running Point 1, I want to wish every football team tonight the best of luck. We hope that all the ones that are playing non-YSN schools absolutely get the wins, and for all YSN matchups, hey, we get a winner no matter what. So we congratulate everyone that moves on. We want to wish the best of luck to our soccer teams playing in the regional final tomorrow. Canfield and Champion both looking to punch a ticket to state. And then, of course, good luck to Crestview Volleyball, who is playing in the regional final tomorrow as well, hoping to punch a ticket to Dayton and to Wright State University for that state tournament as well. So that'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we go, reminder again, tonight